I went to pick up my new wheelchair yesterday, which is this Panthera U3 model. I think without the wheels and the cushion and side guards and things like that, it's one of the lighter wheelchairs out there, about 7 kgs. But then obviously the more stuff you add onto it, the heavier it gets. So we added handles on this time and a few other things that I didn't have on my old chair. So I thought it might just be helpful for people, like if they're new to using a wheelchair or they're looking at different options and they want to compare like different models. I thought I would film a video about the different features and what I like about this one and what I like about this one. I've only had this one for a day, but it's been amazing so far. And I also got a smart drive to go with it, so that I don't dislocate my shoulders as much. So that's been really amazing. So maybe I should describe a little bit the way it works in Sweden. So you have an assessment by an occupational therapist. Pippi just jumped up in the window. She's distracting me. And they assess your needs for what type of wheelchair or mobility aid could be useful to you in your life and help you gain more independence. So I went to see my occupational therapist and we had a chat about the things I can do by myself and the things that are difficult and that I could use help with. And basically in Sweden, you rent all of the equipment off your local council. So once the occupational therapist has said what I would benefit from, I get this wheelchair for free, but I'm essentially renting it. And each of the components of it, like the smart drive has its own number, the wheels have their own number, the chair itself has like a number. So I need to insure it and I can travel with it and I can use it for as long as I need. But if there is something that I want to change out on the chair, like say I want different wheels or I get a flat tire or something, I could go to my occupational therapist and talk to her about that and she could change the type of wheel for me, or I could rent a different one off them. And essentially they're responsible for fixing any damage or anything that happens to the chair unless I've been just like extremely reckless with it or it's been stolen from someone or something, but hopefully that won't happen. And this is the U3 by Panthera, which is a Swedish wheelchair company, and that is the company that the sort of government or local council works with. If people want to have a chair through the healthcare system here and not buy one privately. I've tried like the different cushions and different foot plates and different models, and this is the one that I settled on that I felt would work the best for me. So this is one of the lightest wheelchairs in the world, I believe, when it came out. So if you remove the side guards, the wheels, all the other components, it is an extremely light chair, very responsive when you're driving it. The backrest on this is more supportive. This is a curved backrest, so if you're a woman and you're a little bit curvier, you pear-shaped, got big hips and slightly smaller waist, this backrest can curve in to hug your waist and then your arms aren't getting in the way when you're pushing and you're not bumping into the backrest, so that's quite nice. It's also just got a bit more padding and it's a little bit more adjustable and it comes higher up, so it's more support for the back as well, which is great. This is the Rogue 2 by KI Mobility. It's a little bit scraped up, but not too bad. So that's one of the negatives with black paint. If it's a metal wheelchair and you scrape it, you'll see the metal through. But yeah, I haven't fallen down too many times and scraped it, so it's not too bad. I found it was like a really, really good chair for my first little chair. I really like the look of it. It's a lot more slimline. This one looks like a little bit clunkier and it's got some different shades, like the wheels are grey and it's got some other components and textures and things on it. This one is just all completely black and sleek and I quite like the all black look. Oh, Piggy, are you wanting to go out? You don't want to be in here anymore. Okay, I'm gonna have to let the cat out. Because you like having the freedom, don't you? So another big difference between these two chairs is that these are solid polyurethane plastic tyres, and they're not quite as responsive. If you're going along a gravelly or a bumpy road, you get a lot more shocks and there's less suspension, and they are just heavier to push. But I was really afraid of getting a flat tyre when I first got this one, so I ended up getting solid wheels, and you know, you don't have to pump them up or do much maintenance on them, so that is a pro, but they're quite heavy, not as responsive, and they don't really provide as much resistance to shocks and bumps and things like that. The backrest of this one is a bit lower, not quite as supportive. You use this bar at the back to fold it down. It's nice and easy to load into the car, nice and easy for the wheels to pop off. You just press them in and out. We've also got removable side guards on this chair. Now they don't want to come off, of course, but you can easily slide those in and out. However, they are solid, whereas on this chair, there's a few more components to take apart when you're loading it into the car. I haven't really gotten the hang of this wire thing yet, but you basically pull the wire in order to get the backrest forward. You can't do it all the way without removing the side guards on this wheelchair, so it's a little bit of a hassle. And the cushion sometimes gets in the way of putting the backrest down fully. But some cool things about these side guards is that they are bendy. So when you're transferring from, say, a bed or a chair to the wheelchair, you can easily put your hands down on here for support, and it won't be digging into you or be as hard or difficult to transfer as these side guards sticking up. So I'm not sure if you can see it without me taking the side guards off, but this seat is like completely flat. It's like perpendicular to the ground. And this seat is bucketed, which means that it slants back slightly. I did have I think it's called a slimline cushion for this, but I had to give it back when I got my new wheelchair. So when I'm in this chair, my legs are just like completely perpendicular to the ground, and that was putting a bit of a strain on my back and my back muscles. The backrest on this chair is quite low as well, so I didn't have as much support on the back, so that was giving me like a little bit of a sore back occasionally, or sore hips or whatever. So that's one of the main changes that we have done in this new chair, is I have a bucketed seat on this one. Oh, maybe I should put the brakes on, would be a good idea. So in this chair, my legs are a little bit higher, my knees go up a bit, and that means there's less pressure all along the bottom of my legs, and I'm sitting more back in the chair comfortably. So this one has a slightly higher backrest, and the backrest is curved as well. With KI Mobility, you can choose to get handles on your wheelchair. I didn't with my first one, which I regretted, so Richard is very thankful that I decided to get some handles on this one, which you can adjust height-wise. Whoever's pushing you, you can adjust it to how tall they want them, and then you can just flick them in or out quite easily. So that works really well. A lot of these systems are customizable, so I just decided to get scissor brakes on this chair, which you can pull from underneath the chair to brake it, and that was the easiest for me if I was sitting on the chair, just to pull the brake out, and I thought they were discreet and subtle, and then when you take the brakes off, you sort of can't see them very much. But it is more difficult if someone else is moving your chair for you, if someone else needs to put the brakes on, to have to reach under the chair to brake it. So now I have these ones instead that just stick up on the side, and I just push them down in order to brake. So that's slightly different mechanism there. So with having air in these tyres, I will need to check them for how full, what the air pressure is basically. The more air pressure you have, the easier it is to push the wheels and the further the wheelchair will go. But the less sort of resistance you will have to bumps and things like that. The suspension goes down. These ones are para wheels, so they come with this sort of rubbery texture already along the push rim. And this push rim is like a little bit smaller, so I am navigating that and finding it a little bit difficult to push. Just looking at these wheels, I think this looks slightly bigger. I don't think I'd be able to get that push rim cover on it. So I might need to order some new push rim covers, but that's okay. That's just something to think about if it's difficult for you to get a good grip or push very well. Some people don't want to have rubber on there at all. Whereas with these more solid tyres, the brakes get kind of like misaligned kind of more easily, I've noticed. So that's kind of a downside. And then also with the wheels, because I have EDS and my fingers are so bendy, I quite easily dislocate my fingers when I'm pushing, or if I'm holding a pen or something very thin, or these push rims without the push rim covers on this chair were quite thin and difficult for me to get a good grip on. So I bought push rim covers, and these are a little bit chunkier and easier for me to hold on to. They also provide some friction for when you're braking. You have to be careful that you're not braking too fast or the rubber does burn your skin. But I found them to be quite good, and with them being a bit grippier, it propelled me forward a little bit longer. They burn their hands and they, want to be able to brake really hard.
You could also say it can be a sensory issue for some people, the grippy and techiness of the rubber.
Yeah. And looking at the frame of these two chairs, this one is more slimline. It's just one big piece of metal. You can fold this backrest down. This one is divided into a couple of different components, but we've noticed, Richard said when he was loading it into the car, that the weight distribution of this chair is much more centered. So that's something to think about. I found the caster wheels for the Rogue 2 quite small, and they would get stuck in gravel or snow. These ones would get stuck in the snow too probably, but they're just slightly bigger. Because if your caster wheels are too small, and this happened to me once, if there's like a stone or a tile or something sticking up in the ground and you hit it quite fast with your caster wheels, you can end up like flipping up out of your chair. So it's good to have the bigger caster wheels at the front because they can go over things that are slightly higher, and you won't get knocked out of your chair by a big rock or branch or stick or something. I did have the slimline cushion for this, which was really good. It had plastic in the shape of a hexagon. They called it like a beehive pattern, which was really good for redistributing pressure, and it was like quite soft to sit on. But I had to return it when I got my new cushion with this chair. For this Panthera that I'm using now, I've got I might just like shove that one over there for now. I've got the J Extreme cushion, and this wheelchair cushion also has a little pocket at the front, I believe. So you can store your phone or money in it when you go out. I also want to get a pocket or a bag for underneath the wheelchair that I could like slide my laptop into if I was going to uni or anything like that. So I'd say with the KI Mobility Rogue 2, it's a great travel chair, it's a great first chair, it's easy to load into the car, it's very slimline, it looks really cool, but it's not quite as comfortable and it's not quite as versatile. This one is a little bit clunkier, but there's a lot more things you can do with it. It's lighter and both of them are customizable, but I would say that this is slightly more customizable. Or any of the Panthera wheelchairs, I think. You can just easily slide the anti-tippers in or out. So you just push it down and it slides out back there. And then you won't tip. So one of the main reasons I got a different wheelchair is so that I would be able to use a smart drive, which is an attachable motor that you can use when you're going uphill, going outside, going for long walks. Yeah, just basically any situation where it would be difficult to push for a long time, you can use that. Mostly for outdoors, possibly if you were getting from one side of the university campus to the other, you'd use it indoors on the university campus, or if you're like going to a big shopping mall, but otherwise I would take it off inside and just use it normally. They were able to attach this mount, which is what the smart drive clips onto, and then they also have a cable here that is attached to this speed dial on the front. So I'll plug my smart drive in and I'll show you guys how it works and how I turn it on. So this is 7 kgs roundabout, so it's a little bit heavy. So if you dislocate easily or you have difficulty with lifting stuff, that's something to think about. But thankfully when I'm holding on to something, it's not too heavy for me. So then I just click that onto the mount. I think that's in properly. And then we turn it on. And then I can just plug this little plug in here. And I'll jump in the chair. See that? And then I just click this button here until I see a flashing light and I hear a beep. And now it's on. So if I wind the speed dial forward, it will go faster. And if I wind it back, it'll stop powering me forward. There's no brake on Smart Drive. It doesn't really help you when you're turning in a corner. Like that wheel just stays centered as you turn. So some people prefer a motorized wheel at the back that turns with the chair. But for me, this one was better because I want to be able to do a wheelie to get up a curb, and this smart drive attachment will be able to follow me when I go up and down curbs without getting damaged. I obviously can't go up anything too high, but anything that's around 5 centimeters or less should be okay with this one.
I guess I'd say that the handles are probably the biggest difference for me.
Yeah.
Because it allows, and your mum found this as well, it makes it a lot easier to push you up hills, and also when you're going down hills as well, provide a bit more resistance so you just don't go flying.
Yeah.
And the opposable handles at the top of it, those two different positions, are actually really useful as well, because it means, like, say we go backwards down a really steep hill, it's good to have them
Turned
inwards like that.
Yeah.
It gives a better, like, holding position.
Yeah.
But of course the biggest difference for you and for me is the electric wheel on the back.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you don't get nearly as fatigued as much and you're just zooming around.
Yeah.
Now we have to keep up with you.
No, it's been huge. Just feeling confident that I can go out in the world and I'm not going to come upon a hill or a situation where I don't know how to get up it or move past that. So it's just really, really exciting not to feel as tired anymore, to be able to go to the supermarket and put a heavy bag on my wheelchair and just be able to use the motor, and it can push me anywhere I need to go. So yeah, it's been really life-changing, and I'm so grateful that I have access to this here and that I'm getting this help. I think there's always mixed feelings when you go for a wheelchair fitting, because at least in the beginning it can be a very big step getting your first wheelchair, and I think it takes a lot of adjustment and a lot of time to get used to, and the way you interact with people changes a little bit, and you have to wait for them to feel comfortable around it as well. And at first I was just trying to manage other people's discomfort or expectations around chronic illness or disability, but what I've found through this process is that wheelchairs are really a tool of liberation. They can help you live your life better. They can help you do more things. And so you shouldn't feel ashamed to use something that will help you live the best possible life, because I couldn't do half of the things that I'm doing right now if I didn't have my wheelchair or my wheelchairs. And I don't want to be fatigued in bed when I could be going to university class or spending time with Richard, spending time with family and friends. It really is just so liberating, and I wish that everyone in every country or with all sorts of different conditions had access to different types of technology and different things that could help them. And I think that's like one of the cool things about technology. The more technology we have, the more universal design we can employ. Technology is really bridging the gap between able-bodied people and people that have a disability. And it's just really cool to see the different tools that disabled people are able to use in order to achieve amazing things.
Oh, hey, Pippi. How's it going? Hey. Hey, Pippi. You just sunbathing, beautiful. Yeah, you just got the sun on you. Thanks for not disturbing the filming.
Too much.
Not too much. Nice and sunny. Ooh. I'm trying to nibble my foot. Yeah. Cuddles. Top speed, no hands.